Hi everyone, welcome back. Hathagao, Othagold, Athagare, Euthagu. You likely didn't understand what I said or know what I meant. You just understood that it was a foreign language. Sometimes finding a job can also feel like you're navigating a foreign language. For example, you may have a degree or another kind of credential. You know what the official title of that degree is, but do you really know what it means? And do you know how to talk about what that degree or credential means with respect to the job market and then translate it to the job market? So let's take a different example. Let's say you were working in an industry and you wish to, or you might have to change careers. Similarly, can you translate your experiences, your knowledge, your skills, or your abilities from one field into another? Said even differently, do you always know what you know, or do you always know what you know how to do? In this lesson, we'll talk about employability, and we'll talk about the differences between soft skills and hard skills. And so sometimes soft skills are referred to as non-cognitive skills. You might hear both if you do a little research into these definitions, but for our purposes, we'll just call them soft skills. And then lastly, we'll talk about self-management. This idea of self-management is really one of the principal goals or aims of this course. We want you to develop an overall sense of self-management, these skills to move towards career branding, and an active changing of your mindset from passive to a more active, proactive self-management style. In other words, we're moving from relying on a resume, which is kind of old school, to and then a resume and degrees and credentials, to building a skills portfolio and also developing a skills-based view of yourself. So passive to active. Remember, we're also going to remember our concepts of protean, careers, boundaryless careers from lesson 1. It's all about career branding within this VUCA environment. Simply stated, employability skills are a range of skills and personal attributes that will help you find success in the labor market. And again, these skills have a number of names. They can be soft skills, workforce skills, readiness skills, career readiness skills, but they all speak to the same set, this idea of employability within this larger career system. To this lesson, we're going to add some resources. Some of the articles originate in the UK and in Australia, but they're really applicable no matter what country you are in. Hard skills, on the other hand, are tangible and they're fairly easy to quantify. They're specific, they're generally learned, they might be skills specific to an industry or a trade or a profession. Soft skills, again, sometimes called non-cognitive skills, are a little more difficult to quantify, but they're very, very important. They're variously referred to as patterns of thought, and they can include critical thinking, social responsibility, maybe your work ethic, and so forth. They're very important, though, for you to focus on. Employers are really looking for demonstrable soft skills and some quality in that area. Transferable skills, another phrase with which you should be familiar, are portable, hard and soft skills, and they can relate to a number of industries. They might be basic computing skills, leadership, conflict resolution, problem solving, motivating people, leadership, and so forth. You'll hear these taglines if you look at even some job descriptions. You'll hear a lot of these words in those descriptions, so pay attention as you even think about your own research into a possible career. Remember my cousin Tony? He was really adept at identifying transferable skills. He used his skills in developing and leading his staff in one job environment to think about how he might sell his skills in a completely different one. Self-management is a key soft skill. So remember I said the aim of the course is this idea of self-management. It involves self-observation and self-analysis. So again, you're the active player in that in this realm. And in short, it's a skill that needs to develop other skills. It's a meta skill, so sort of the overarching skill. You're managing your own career. Evidence of good self-management would be someone who can strategically align herself with respect to a changing landscape. So, for example, someone who might be able to read an aging demographic and think about a high-needs career in gerontology or in a healthcare field, for example. So we've learned how to think about and define employability and self-management. The general concept of employability can be broken into hard skills, soft skills, and transferable skills. Now that we've looked at these concepts, we can look at other ways to identify and think about what we know, how you know it, and how we know what to do. And to that end, in the next lesson, we'll explore knowledge, skills, abilities, and competencies. See you then.